Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our webinar today entitled Why a Poorly Planned Marketing Budget is as Bad as No Budget at All. It's good to see a number of you here today. Before we start, just like to do a little bit of housekeeping. The webinar is going to last about 40 minutes, and we're going to run a short poll at the end, if that's all right, just to get an indication of what you thought of it and also any comments or questions that you might have. We're also going to show you a few things that tools really, documents that might be of help to you, and we can send these to you. So please do let us know after the event, and we'll send those to you, no problems at all. I'm also conscious that there's a number of businesses here, mainly business to business, but a number of you can have different skill sets and different amounts of knowledge. So please, those experts amongst you, please forgive some of the things that I'll be saying today, if they're things you already know. And yeah, I hope we can help you, and I hope it's interesting. So let's make a start. So what I hope you're going to get from the webinar today is, and this is all around budgets and why budgets get wasted in marketing. What I'm going to hope you're going to get from here is perhaps the confidence to make better informed decisions. I hope to provide some food for thought about your existing strategies and what you're doing at the moment. Ideas about how you might improve your own marketing assets and strategies, and as well as some practical tips and tools. A little bit about me. I'm describe myself as an old ad man. I've been around in the advertising industry for many years, and it is just worth just taking a little thought perhaps, and that step back to kind of when I started in advertising and marketing. By far, it was in London, in some London agencies I worked in. By far and away, the biggest change that I've seen over the years is the growth of niche market providers. So, I mean, we're an email marketing agency. That didn't exist when I started in advertising, because we had gas lamps then. We didn't, it wasn't that long ago, but it's certainly changed dramatically, where the only marketing that people could do was probably through an agency or an ad agency of some sort. Nowadays, there are so many niche providers for so many different services, and I think it is a minefield, and I think it is the one place where people can blow their marketing budgets by being seduced down a particular avenue because a particular provider has given them some advice which might not be great. So I think that's really the big change that I've seen, is just the way we buy services has changed pretty much out of all recognition. I do have a question, perhaps a question for me. So is there one answer for all the businesses watching the webinar this morning? And I'd say yes, there is one. It's a funny place, this, because in my opinion, the world of marketing is pretty simple. Whether you're an exhibition contractor or solicitor, you're a training company, the rules are pretty much the same. You've got some services and products, and out there is your potential marketplace, the people that could potentially buy your business. So the skill of the marketeer is to package up those products and services in such a way and target them to the people that could potentially buy those products and services. So a thought, where does marketing often go wrong? Now, this isn't by any means definitive, but here are some thoughts for you. So the whole scattergun approach, where there is no focus on marketing, money gets spent because somebody's come up with a good idea. Hey, let's do this, we need some more sales, so let's do some more marketing. And that whole scattergun approach really doesn't work. And I'll just take you back to, if I was to say, when you all get home this evening, you pop on the telly and you're on a commercial station, especially if it's ITV, you're pretty likely to come up with a sofa company that are going to sell you a sofa because they've got a sale on and they can deliver before Christmas, or whatever the proposition is, and it's going to be 5 years or 4 years interest-free credit. And if I was to say, okay guys, tell me who that company is, a number of you are going to say DFS, and that's because they're there all the time, because it's a continual marketing, and their marketing strategy is to deliver their message to you all the time. And it's really important to remember that you need to be seen there, because the one thing none of us know is, other than perhaps the Christmas hamper people, is when customers want to buy. So scattergun approach is often where things go wrong. Sales before marketing, that's an interesting one. This is that quite often I'll talk to a client and they'll say, well, yeah, we really like what you do, Nick, but we really need to get some sales in before we can do it. Now, I understand the realities of that situation, because nobody ever has enough or too much money for their marketing. Just take you back to this little Sillet Bang poster or little icon here. I remember this campaign when it first started. Now, if you think about how any supermarket works, any multiple retailer, their shelves are always full, ram-packed full. So if you've got a new product, how do you get that new product, and you want to launch it, how do you get that product onto supermarket shelves because there's no space? Well, the only way that's going to happen is the manufacturer, the Cillit Bang in this case, will probably end up buying stock off the shelf to create space for themselves. But they also need to convince the retailer that this product's going to sell well. And they do that by spending shed loads of money on advertising and marketing. And Cillit Bang was one of those products that came from nowhere. So Monday it wasn't there, and then suddenly it was everywhere, and they spent a lot of money. So it's a classic case of you have to spend money on marketing to drive sales. Sales should not be the driver for marketing. It's kind of seems counterintuitive, but it's an important kind of point to remember, that if you want sales, you need to spend money on marketing. So next one of that is who you see is what you get. And I think this comes back to that whole niche place. If you go and see a website company, there's a good chance they're going to say, you need a new website and it's going to cost you this much money. And they're not there to do it as cheap as possible. They're there to make a living, just like we all are. So there's nothing wrong in that sense, but it's about how much money you're going to spend on the advice that you're going to get from the niche provider, whether it's around search or whether it's a magazine that's suggested that you need to be in their magazine, as in print media, 12 times in the year, and it's going to cost you this much money, and it leaves no room for anything else. And it's not a kind of coherent marketing strategy. It's who you see is what you get. Is wherever you go, just be careful about the advice that you get and measure that advice against other people's advice. The best advice probably comes from those people that don't have a vested interest. So poor advice, not a great place. So just dinosaur boards. Now this might be unfair for a number of companies, but we often bump into companies where the world has changed, the world has moved on. And I'm going to use the example of print, as in ink on paper print, the printing companies that still print brochures and now do a lot of digiprint and so on. And that world has changed out of all recognition. Print is now a commodity driven by price, and margins are absolutely wafer thin. And the challenge here is that the world has moved on, and it doesn't matter that you're local. Nobody cares about how many printing machines you've got, whether it's a 10-color perfector, or all of the technical stuff has almost gone, because most people, nearly all printing companies, kind of churn out good print, because perhaps the technical things that used to get in the way have sort of gone away. So the point is that you have to change, you have to move along with the times, and it is the innovators that will always be more successful. And no, but that's how we used to do it. I think a classic case is that when you used to ask a print company for a price, you might get it in 2 or 3 days. Now when you phone up a print company, you want a price, you want it now. You want it, email it over to me in the next hour or two. Lack of competitor insight is also another classic case of where things in marketing go wrong. If you don't know what your competitors are charging for a comparative service or comparable service, however much money you spend on marketing, you may drive traffic, you may get inquiries, but you're not going to do any business. So it is so important to stop and do the marketing job properly and actually stop and look at your competitors. So whether you buy competitor analysis or you're doing it yourself, it's really important to know exactly what your competitors are charging. And quite often your competitors, you may not perceive a particular company to be a competitor of yours, but it doesn't really matter what you perceive, it's what your customers perceive. If they think that a company is a competitor of yours, then they absolutely are. And then obviously limited marketing spend, well, that's a kind of given really, isn't it? But I think everybody would like to spend more. Anybody who spends money on marketing always needs more budget. Lack of focus is really about when things get busy, do you stop doing marketing? Do you stop looking after your pipeline? If you do, it's folly, because when you then stop being busy, there's nothing to replace the busy period. Often people spread things too thinly, too many products, too many services, and again, that's not really great, because it means you're not really seen, because nobody can see you in the wood from the trees. So one of the things that's pretty important here is to go take a step back and look at some basics. And I would challenge any businesses to just stop for a while and actually say, well, who are we selling our products to? Who do we want to sell our products to? And when we've actually worked out market segmentation and done our targeting, what's our product positioning like, product or service positioning like? And are we actually in a place where we're communicating with the people we'd like to do business with, and we're doing it kind of on their terms, where we're actually sharing our skills and knowledge with people in a way that they understand and they think, yep, I get these people, I get what they're doing. Now, I'll just take a couple of examples here. If you think about a charity, if in your marketing strategy you'd like to market to charities. Now, charities, big or small, have office chairs, they have employees generally, they have heating, insurance, they pay their staff, they pay redundancy, they have maternity leave, they have all sorts of things that any other business have. So in essence, from a marketing perspective or operational perspective, a charity is the same as any other business. However, charities don't consider themselves to be like other businesses. They have a different VAT status, and they would quite often refer to having funding gaps, as in we have a funding gap next 2017 from July onwards. Well, guess what? So do most companies. They don't know where their money is coming from in the next 7 or 8 9 months or whatever it might be. So although charities are businesses like any other business in many ways, they perceive themselves to be different, and you need to treat them differently in terms of your product or service positioning. Another example is solicitors. Solicitors tend to come from partnerships. There are a lot of chiefs in firms of solicitors, same with accountants. And decisions are often made slowly and a little bit more ponderously than a company, SME type company run by a strong, powerful managing director. And so there isn't an Alan Sugar at the top saying, right, this is what we're doing. If you don't like it, you're fired, or whatever that might be. So a final example of that is the difference between SMEs and corporates. If you're selling training products, if you're selling to those particular marketplaces, if you're selling to the SME, you're appealing to the managing director with the checkbook. He or she needs to be convinced that there is a really important profit motive in terms of buying training. However, the HR director in a corporate, HR manager, has a different kind of perspective on things. Profit isn't the issue here. It's whether they have the budget, but the drivers are different, and you need to recognize that. So whatever your marketing messages are, make sure they're appropriate to the particular businesses and types of businesses that you're selling to. This is a quote that I'm sure most of you will be familiar with. I was just amazed that actually John Wanamaker was born in 1838, sort of one of the grandfathers of the advertising business. Half the money I spend on advertising is wasted. The trouble is I don't know which half. Well, that comes down to measurement, but it is a pretty difficult place to actually work out. And I would have your sympathies here because it's true for all of us. But whatever you do, if you measure what you're doing, you stand a better chance of understanding which half of your advertising budget is going in the right place. So let's just look at a few other points here about why advertising budgets need to be spent carefully and how often and how they're squandered so often. So I'm just going to talk about messaging here, which comes back to that whole STP thing in terms of understanding who you're communicating with. Messaging is king. How to articulate your proposition. Because it's never about you. No one cares about we care, we love, we do this, we do it better than the competition. It is crucially about solving people's issues, giving them the things that people want. You can't sell things to people they don't want. And if you look at what you expect from any, because we're all consumers here, if you look at what the way that you're going to communicate with the kinds of people you want to do business with, it's not a million miles away from what your competitors are doing, and you all care and you're all passionate. That's a kind of given. Messaging also needs to be aligned carefully to the marketing channel. And the example of one of my favorite little posters here. So this is a marketing channel, a poster site, a 48-sheet poster site. It's in Bath, and I took this picture probably 5 years ago. And when I drove to work this morning, there's a poster that's really similar to this for Specsavers. It's got a boy and a girl in it. Girls wearing glasses. The proposition is actually very similar, and the call to action is the same too. Now this is what we call a fleeting medium, as in poster site's got to work bam quickly, milliseconds. It's got to attract your attention, give you the information that you want, a compelling message. So there's no we do this and we do that and we care here. It's really, really simple. It needs to work really hard and fast. This is probably a supplement ad, and a little story about this. I really like this Merck ad, and I'm just going to give you a couple of seconds to read it. I like this because, unlike other car ads, I think it's a really powerful message. And what I like particularly is that it's 10 years old, 2006, so interesting in its own right. But the point is, it appears in a magazine and there's time to read it. This is from a blog, How to Win with Words, and I'm really happy to share this with you. And it was written by a guy who was a copywriter in a London creative agency, ad agency, and it's an entertaining little read. Excuse me. I'm only showing you 3 points here because if I tried to show you all 10, it would be too small and you wouldn't actually see anything, which is actually an interesting marketing message in its own right. Don't try and do everything in one ad, in one message, because nobody will see anything. If you want this, let me know and I'll send it to you. There's no problem at all. So all of that leads on to my favorite, or one of my favorite marketing acronyms, which is attention, interest, desire, and action. And I am challenging you to go and have a look at the marketing collateral that you have in your business, the way you look online, anything you send out to your customers, anything that's promotional, in fact, and ask yourself whether what you're offering looks like this, as in attracting attention, creating interest, desire, and then what do I do next? What do I do next could be an offer like the Specsavers ad, or it could be some other kind of incentive. I'll come on to some of those drivers. Come on to some of those drivers in a second. I'm just going to go back up to this slide here, this last point here. What really makes you different? And that's a really difficult question, because we all live in this place. We're all Me Too businesses. We're an email marketing agency. There are lots of email marketing agencies. On the webinar today are a number of companies, and I can't see a single company in here that doesn't have a single competitor, because we all have lots and lots of competitors. So it is a challenge, and I'd ask you, get some people around the table in your business and say what really makes us different. And it isn't that you care, because everybody claims they care, and it isn't that you're passionate, because everybody in any industry is passionate about what they do. So what are those differentiators? What really makes you different? And it is a challenge, and I'll come on to how we can get over some of those issues in a minute or two. But I'm just going to show this to you. So again, I whipped this off somebody's website to screen grab of it, and it's a few years old now. And I have no issues with Silicon Practice. I don't even know who they are, but I was amazed by this piece of copy. So just 2 minutes, have a read of that. Okay, so the point here is this is truly a terrible piece of copy. You'll find every project is director-led to provide a unique blend of technical and visual passion and attention to detail. And it is absolutely not going to sell any products or services, because it's entirely about them, and that is always, always a big old turn-off. So why do people buy from you? Well, there are certain things that are a given. Price and competitiveness is absolutely one of them. And this is, again, if you've got a waste marketing budget, don't be aware of your competitors' pricing or modus operandi, the way they do business, or any of their products or services. And you can spend your marketing budget driving people to your proposition, whether it's online or whether it's however you're managing that process. But if your price isn't right, you're not going to win any business. I talk about capability because ultimately you need to convince the people you'd like to do business with that you can do the work that they want you to do, or provide the services, whatever those services might be. I mentioned the size of the business here, and I think an extreme example of this is the one-man band bookkeeper's website that says we work for any size of business. Well, they ain't going to be working for Airbus, are they? And the point being here, and moving away from the extreme, is if you need to articulate the kinds of businesses you would like to work with, or you specialize in working with. That's best done with a list of the clients that you work for, or some testament from clients, or some insight into the size of the businesses, because there has to be an alignment with the size of your business and the size of the companies you're working with. A two-man band can't work for a multinational, and equally, for example, a big advertising agency with a big boardroom table and a big office in London isn't going to be right for a lot of you guys out there because they're too big. And like equally, a one-man band graphic designer might be too small. So it's really important to kind of articulate in your marketing message, in your any of your marketing, the kinds of businesses you actually specialize in and excel in working in. However, one thing stands head and shoulders above this, and it is absolutely crucial to any buying decision. It's reassurance. If you think about how, I mean, you're all consumers, I'm a consumer, and we make purchasing decisions regularly. And ultimately, we need to feel reassured that the company we're going to give our money and trust to are the right company, and I think they can deliver. And it really is as simple as whether you're going to shop online on Amazon, and you want to buy something. You have a look at the stars. You have a look at the customer reviews, and you strip out the few at the top and then the bottom, and you get a good idea. Yeah, this is the right thing that I want to buy. And you know what? Who provides that reassurance? Who provides the best reassurance? Well, it's no big surprise here. It's your customers. So perhaps one of the things that you may have been expecting today, and I'm going to talk about now, is marketing channels, because it's the one place where you can hemorrhage a lot of money, or you can be ineffective, or you can not know whether or not the marketing that you're doing is actually generating any sales, any engagement with your business. So I'm just going to zoom through these. I'm just going to talk first about the social media trap. The whole social media thing, and we talk to a lot of companies a lot of the time, and there's a kind of guilt thing, like, yeah, we probably should be doing more on social media. But stripping Facebook away from business to business, because it's not appropriate to spend any time or money on Facebook, and I feel absolutely adamant about that. It's not a matter of mixing personal and work here. Facebook works very well. Well, it is a phenomenon in its own right, but not for most of us in the business-to-business world. But things like LinkedIn, things like Twitter, they have their place and they are useful. But just like, and this is an interesting point here, if you think about last Tuesday, I played Euro Millions, which I don't usually do, but I couldn't resist £151 million. Incidentally, I didn't win that. That doesn't really come as a big surprise because the odds are so massive. I was far more likely to be struck by lightning on the way to work. And the point being here is that the money, the money which was the driver here, which I then went on Euro Millions, the odds are so massive. And just with social media, how many people are you really in front of? If you write a blog and you put it on LinkedIn and maybe 10 people, 20, 30, 50 people read it, nobody shares it, a couple of people comment, interesting, whatever it might be. You can spend a lot of time doing that. You can spend a lot of time writing stuff and say, well, we're out there. But if you're only in front of tens of people, the engagement is not going to work. And I'll come on to some interesting metrics, which are a bit scary in their own right. But do think about how many people you're in front of. And when you see, or if you're interested, there's a blog that we've done called How Many Tweets Make a Sale? And I think it's stark about, if social media is going to work for you, you need to be in front of a hell of a lot of people, and you need to be interesting, and you need to get people to share, because any content, you need to look back at it and think, is that interesting? Put a so what rule on it, as we call it. And if people aren't sharing it, it isn't that interesting, and that's really the key point here. So we talk about paid search and PPC, so that's biddable media, Google AdWords on other search platforms as well. And the point with this is that I think lots of people have been burned or had a bad PPC experience. And for lots of companies, and I think especially for some service-based industries, I think search through PPC doesn't work. PPC, amazingly powerful. I'm an absolute believer in the power of PPC. And it doesn't matter how much you spend as long as you're getting your return. And it is incredibly measurable. So don't get me wrong here. PPC is really powerful and really useful, but not if you just do it yourself and you're not very good at it. and not if you don't spend enough money doing it, and not if you don't understand it. And it's really key to understand this, but I'll come back to that in a minute. Now, SEO is an interesting one here because SEO is one of those, well, we could do a bit of SEO ourselves, or we can spend a couple of £100 a month on SEO. The reality is SEO will work for some companies. Not if you have lots and lots and lots of products and services, because you can't get good page rank on lots and lots and lots of things. It's unless you're spending an absolute fortune, and I mean a fortune. And also, I just ask you to just have a little think about this point that I'm going to make. Google, a phenomenal company in its own right, love them or hate them, a phenomenal company. Why would they help you to get page rank on their search engine without paying them any money? You know what? They don't want to help you. They want you to spend the money through this product here, through PPC. That's where they want you to spend the money. So SEO is valuable, but also Google can change the rules. So you can spend a lot of money and you can get some good page rank for your business. And then Google change the rules and you drop like a stone off the edge of the cliff. So think long and hard and just think about the advice that you're getting, because the trouble with SEO is nobody can promise or guarantee you anything. And people will promise you, we can get you page rank, we can get on the front page of Google, no problem. And you know what they can for a search term that nobody searches for. If you Google my name, you're going to see my name up there because it's an unusual name. I'm not sure I really wanted you to invite you to do that, but if you want to, please do. And I'm all over the front page. For the right reasons, I hasten to add. However, think about any promises that some SEO guys, firms give you. So trade press and print media, I just want to put that out there, that for a lot of trade technical businesses, for lots of companies, there is absolutely nothing wrong. There's absolutely nothing wrong with, I'm not putting a cross by it at all. There's nothing wrong with trade press and print media, but it needs, in terms of the expense of doing that kind of advertising, it doesn't work well as a direct response, but it certainly positions a business within the trade. And if they're there all the time, it's a bit like an exhibition in that respect. And if they're there all the time being seen, it's a powerful place. Now, I'm just going to touch on online. So is your website a marketing channel? Well, I think it probably is. In fact, it is a marketing channel. And in terms of building the reassurance, it's the one place people will always go, almost universally, to gain that reassurance. And it becomes the starting point. So whatever marketing channels you're going to choose, and this is why I think the whole website thing sticks out like a sore thumb here, whatever you're going to do with your marketing, you have to start with looking good online. If you don't, everything else you do is potentially wasted. So we then talk about the SEO PPC thing, which is about driving traffic. We talk about banner and network advertising, which is the little banners you see, forgive me here for those that know, the little banners that you see that appear on umpteen sites when you're on the internet, from Owners Direct if you're booking a cottage to YouTube or whatever. Now remarketing here is just a little thing here. So when you're on for those, again, sorry, but for those that don't know, if people are visiting your website, you're getting good website traffic. Well, no, take a step back. If you search for something on Amazon, you'll notice that if you then go to YouTube or go to a number of other websites that have advertising on them, you're likely to see some of the things that you've already searched for, whether it's a push bike or some loudspeakers or a camera or whatever it might be. And that's remarketing. And remarketing is really, really cheap and really easy to manage. And we do remarketing in a number of other companies that we work with, as in our clients here in the world of email marketing. We get them to do remarketing as well because it's very cheap. And the only people that see those ads are those that have clicked on your website. So if you can get somebody to come to your website, it's nice to be able to then remind them, as in, remember us, you saw us a couple of days ago, 3 days ago, 4, 6, 10, a week, however long. So if you're interested in remarketing and how it works and how it's really very, very cheap, have a chat with us. It's not something we do, but it's something I can point you in the right direction. So email marketing, well, that's what we do. That's what we do it day in, day out. It's our job. We're an email marketing agency. We love email marketing. I think it provides exceptionally good value in terms of very easy to target and so on, but I'll come on to that later. Exhibitions are a good place, but only if you do it well. That's like so many of these marketing channels. If you don't do it well, it doesn't work and it effectively hemorrhages money. So exhibitions are great, but do think, We've all been to trade shows, we've all been to exhibitions. You hand your business card into somebody on a stand, something you're interested in, and you don't hear from them again. They missed the opportunity. The 200, 500, however many contacts you might make at an exhibition, you don't deal with them properly afterwards. Wasted opportunity. That's a bit of a pitfall. I think exhibitions can work really, really well, trade shows. It's a huge resource, I understand that. So networking, something a lot of us do, as in we'll do breakfast networking or we do some other networking. Networking is very powerful, but again, remember to look after and nurture the leads and people that you talk to. TV and cinema are here. It doesn't apply to many of us, and it's mainly it's almost universally a business to consumer proposition here. But don't forget that in terms of reaching audience and being able to target audience, TV and cinema work very well. So telemarketing is here also because it works for a lot of companies, but then a lot of companies have had a bad experience. But again, it comes down to the quality of the telemarketing company, the quality of your brief to the telemarketing company, and their ability to create what so many of the businesses here on the webinar this morning are all looking to get in front of more people to have a quality conversation, because they all say, if we could just get in front of more people, telemarketing is a good way of doing that. Public relations is here. Public relations, interesting, this top and bottom, public relations, social media, they kind of do mix together now in a way that they didn't in the old days when I started my advertising career. Public relations was a piece of A4 paper with a press release on it, photo stuck at the bottom, off to the local newspaper or national newspaper or whatever. The world of PR has changed out of all recognition and links closely with the whole social media content marketing space. Don't underestimate the power of PR, but it again has to be done well, has to be done very, very well. So not a definitive list of marketing channels, but some insight in terms of the marketing channels. Now remember, as we said at the beginning, marketing is pretty simple. It's about putting your proposition in front of potential customers. It's not about telling your customers how much you care, how much you listen, how passionate you are, because you know what, those things are a given. If I go to a firm of accountants, I expect them to listen, I expect them to be interested in my business, passionate about what they do, all of the things. So, little challenge, go and have a look at what you're saying on the homepage of your website. And does it say any of those things? I bet it does. So, remember too, who are the best people to build the reassurance you need to convert a prospect? And it is your customers. And that has changed. We all look, whether it's TripAdvisor, I know that's a consumer product, whether it's TripAdvisor or the little stars that appear in terms of reviews on Amazon, although some of them look a bit dodgy. The point here is that customers are the best advocates of your business because they build the reassurance. Because if people like, somebody like myself, Nick Sladek, I go and buy a service. If I see other people like me buying the service from this particular provider and they've had a good experience, I'm pretty likely to go and buy from them as well. So, best way to plan your budget? Well, first things first, and as I said before, you need to look good online. Your website is absolutely crucial. Now, looking good isn't about, wow, we've got a lovely picture on the front of our website, because the home page of any website has to appeal to so many people, and it has to articulate things very, very quickly. It is not like it used to be. The front page of a website is a fleeting medium, just like the poster site. It has to work now, very quickly. It needs to articulate what you do, who you work with, what kind of people you work with, and it needs to hold the person that's looking at the website in such a way as they're going to go, I want to take the next step. So it is more than we do this. We're a printing company and we care for our customers and we're very good at print. Well, yes, of course you are. So is everybody else. So what is that reason to engage? And it is, it's a difficult thing to answer. But some tips here is that if you go back to the whole STP thing, remind yourself who you're selling to. And your strategy is to answer the pain points of different markets or different sectors in such a way as that they think, oh yeah, these are the experts, I'd like to work with them. Now, one of the customers that we work with are a laundry company who launder and rent workwear. but they are a massive national company across the UK. Businesses from multiple retailers to garages and engineering companies. So the difference between a food preparation business, and an engineering company is massive. So the food prep company is interested in hygiene, especially say if they're providing products to Sainsbury's or one of the multiple food retailers. And it's very different from engineering. So if you're servicing or want to service two different sectors, just like food prep and engineering, then your offering's got to be different, and your offering has to reassure whoever's looking at your offering, yeah, they really get work. They get us. I often think that an accountant who is a specialist in food and beverage, pubs, restaurants, because pubs and restaurants have they have a lot of transient workers, they work maybe through 24-hour shifts and all these kinds of things. They're very different from a firm of architects or a cosmetic laser clinic. So rather than you saying we specialize in everything, which nobody does, let your marketing collateral do that job for you and get your customers, the ones that you like and who like you, to help you through that process. Now, thinking about marketing channels, and you know what, this is the most difficult thing here. So what's going to deliver the reach, as in the number of people you can talk to, you need at a cost you can afford. Also ask yourself if people search for your products and services, because that relates directly to the kinds of marketing channels that you should be using. And if you're selling or transacting online, how good is your process? Anybody that's used Google Prime, where you're set up, that is so damn easy to buy stuff and then it arrives the next morning, and you've got to be as good as that, or you've got to at least aspire to be as good as that, because they're not stopping. They're making it easier and easier and easier for people to buy. I'm just going to little anecdote here. So just going back to the whole search thing and the question that I asked around the social media trap, or suggested, how many people are you in front of? So this is a classic new style search page for marketing agency, and you'll notice there are 1, 2, 3, 4 ads here, and then there's this line across here, and then these ones here are natural search. At the bottom of this page there's a bunch more advertising. So all of this lot here is paid advertising, and then the natural search below. Each of these, so if I search for marketing agency, these here and these ones below, these are ads or impressions. So question to you, how many impressions do you need to make a sale? So somebody searches for marketing agency. So this is how the metrics go, and it's an interesting and pretty scary one. Typically, you'll achieve between 0.5% and 2% CTR, click-through rate. So for every 100 people that search for marketing agency, you can expect between half or 2 people to click on, I'm going to click on this one here. So of the people that click on this particular one here, 2% of those people, when they land on your website, or 2% of the 0.5 or 2% CTR, are going to engage with your business and dig a little deeper. Maybe between 1 and 7 of those people will then end up buying from you. So question, how many times does this ad here, I'm not picking on this one for any reason, how many times does this need to be in front of somebody before you're actually going to possibly make a sale? And that number is pretty damn scary. It's 175,000. Now I know that's a bit of a rough and ready, but the numbers are big numbers. So when you get your blog in front of 100 people or 30 people, it just doesn't cut the mustard. It just isn't enough, and therefore it needs to be really good. So where you waste a marketing budget is when you're sitting writing blogs all day, which nobody or very few people are going to see. The time you're spending that is the missed opportunity. Do it well, and it can of course drive sales for you. So back up to here. So there are so many questions here. Can telemarketing deliver leads you need? Will SEO really give you the visibility you need? How many people do you need to be in front of? And that really is that very, very difficult question. But it comes down to knowledge at the end of the day. So here are some pitfalls. So spread your activities too thinly and no one's going to remember or see you or what you stand for. a lot of people will drive traffic to their website. And you know what? It's a perennial problem for us here at Essentia Mail. We are doing email marketing for a number of clients. We are sending traffic to their website. And you know what? Their website's not good enough. We take the horse to water and we fail at that point. And that is a damn shame because we've done all the marketing, we've spent the money, but we're not converting. And that is a big issue. Don't wait for more sales to do your marketing. You need to go and find some resource so that you can do the marketing so that you can actually get some more sales. And if you're not getting those sales, you need to have a little look back in terms of the metrics and why isn't it working. Ask for advice. Ask us for advice. Ask any marketing company for some advice before you're seduced in to spend a whole load of money on a new corporate identity or a new this or a new that, because hey, we're all here to make some money. We're all here in business. And marketing agencies, and I have nothing against marketing agencies, but they've got to give you good advice and you've got to be accountable to some extent for what they are going to achieve for you. Blow your marketing budget on one aspect of your marketing. I was doing some pro bono work for a small local charity, and when I arrived there, they'd spent a fortune on a new CRM. It was a very nice CRM and it worked very well. However, it left no money to do anything else, which was a bit of a shame. Don't try and do things yourself if you're not qualified to do them, and it's a bit of a tough one because buying the service might be expensive, or you might like to do it yourselves, or you're a marketing person within a company. But I do encourage you, things that you're not great at doing, put them out to somebody that is good at doing them. Obviously, in terms of your marketing budget, not wasting money, you need to understand where your lead and your sales are coming from. And if you don't, then it really is very difficult, well, it's impossible to actually understand where you're doing things right and where you're doing things wrong. So do set some KPIs. Understand how many times you need to be seen to make a sale. Now here's a metric that might be of interest to you, this one here. To make a sale here at Essentia Mail, we have to do 3.3 proposals. We know that because statistically that's how it's worked out over recent years. To do a proposal, we need 3 quality conversations. So broadly, we need 10 quality conversations to win a piece of business. To gain those quality conversations, our primary marketing channel is email marketing, which may not be a surprise. We back that up with having a website that is okay. It's not good enough, and we're working on a new one. Who everybody's heard that one before, but it's true. We do some social media marketing. We spend time in terms of writing blogs, posting them in different groups, and then hoping they get shared. And sometimes they do get shared, and that is great news because it puts us in front of a whole load of new people, so the metrics then stack up. So those things are pretty important. So this perhaps is inevitable. I hope you'll forgive me. We love email marketing. That's what we do here at Essentia Mail because it's easy to segment and target. It's comparatively easy to deliver relevant messaging to the target audience. I say comparatively because you send out 5,000 emails, you don't get 5,000 responses. That would be lovely. You don't get anything like that. It's easy to position because that's controlled by us because we write content for all our clients. We are good at messaging. We are good at positioning clients' products in such a way as people go, yeah, I'd like one of them. That looks good. It's good for consistent engagement with the prospect database. You could blow a whole lot of money on some really nice print direct marketing in January and then do nothing all year. So as far as your customers or potential customers are concerned, you've disappeared, you don't exist, because they'll have forgotten about you. And also, your competitors will be there through February, March, April, May, and so on. It's easy to test reaction for new services and products, but email marketing is no silver bullet. And if you're not doing it very well, it can even be destructive. And I say that because we've all seen email marketing where we sign up to something and we end up in a situation where we get hammered. The leasing company, the recruitment company, whatever it is, and it's like, get out of my inbox. Email marketing is a disruptive medium. Nobody's asked to receive an email, and therefore you need to respect the recipient's time, and that's why we do things the way we do. But enough of a hard sell here. I hope it wasn't. A few points to remember. We're wrapping up now. We've been just over 40 minutes. So make it easy for a prospect to understand what you're offering. Have a great website with lots of relevant landing pages, which comes down to the whole thing around positioning. Demonstrate customer advocacy. Video is much better than we recommend that you use this dry cleaning company or whatever. Don't be lazy. One size doesn't fit all. Look at any content or messaging that you're putting out there and apply the so what test. Is it interesting what you're putting out? Is it devoid of some of the cliches that I've touched on earlier? Have a rigorous process to follow up leads and proposals. Don't put out the little tiny spark or tiny flame. And be tenacious with leads that you get. Yes, you may need to call them. Don't wait for them to call you. Outsource anything you're not doing or you're not doing really well. Remember, content is king. Good content is king. It may be better to outsource that. We do a lot of writing. We do a lot of writing for websites. We also do the content for our own email marketing as well as for all of our clients. Don't get hung up on the metrics. You need to look like open rates, for example, with email marketing, or CTRs with, which is the thing that the PPC company will tell you you're getting good CTRs, good click-through rates. But if you're not selling anything, you need to have a look at the words. You need to have a look about why. Why are we not engaging? That comes down to CROs and conversion rate optimization and so on. Put time aside to plan your marketing and your marketing budget. Do the research, and remember, who you ask is probably what you'll get. So if you go to a website company, they will recommend that. And there's nothing wrong with that in itself. You would expect that. If you come to us, we're going to recommend you do some email marketing, but probably because we turn a lot of business away that we don't think we can gain the results. So that just about wraps up this morning, but a final thought. Ask yourself a question. And this is really simple. What do I need to put in front of a potential customer so they react by saying, yeah, I want one of those? Now, I know it's kind of extreme to think in these terms, but think about how the supermarkets work, the Sainsbury's and the Asda's and the Lidl's and what have you. They will put a picture of a bottle of whatever or a block of cheese, and okay, if you buy this one, you get this one free or half price or whatever it is. And then the customer says, yeah, I want one of those. And they know that works. So what can you put in front of your customers, whether it's excellent advocacy from existing customers that you've worked with, so that your potential customers, rather than saying, I've got no idea what those people do, they say, yes, I want one of those. Now that is a really difficult challenge. I absolutely get that. But aspirationally, go for it, and you're going to do better with the marketing budget that you're spending. Thank you very much for your time this morning. Any questions, please drop us an email, give me a call. Be very happy to help. Many thanks.